Welcome to Unleashed, the podcast that awakens believers to their purpose, activates them into their calling, and advances the kingdom of God. I'm your host, Ryan Reger, and each week you'll hear stories, insights, and encouragement to help you step boldly into the life that you were created for. When you live unleashed, you don't just change your life, you impact the world for the kingdom. Let's go! Hey guys, welcome back to the Unleashed podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Reger, and today's episode is with my friend, Lady J, Jevonnah Ellison. I first met her through Dan Miller, and in this clip of about 25 or 30 minutes, she's speaking to a group that I run, and just powerful stuff of, number one, gratitude. And then the reason I had her come to this group is that she is really, really good at saying no. And that might sound weird, but you know, when you can say no to the wrong things or even good things, then you leave room for the right things that God has for you. And so this group of ladies are busy moms, and I know everybody is busy today. And so I really hope this is a blessing to you, to give you permission to say no to the things that either you don't want to do or they just don't fit in with what you're trying to do. And so this will be really encouraging. I knew she would be a hit with the ladies, and she definitely was. She just launched a new book. I don't even think it's out there completely yet, but go find her at Jevonnah.com, Jevonnah.com. She's amazing. Just launched her new mastermind called the Thrive Collective. And I know this is going to be a good episode. Here it is. I first met Jevonnah through Dan Miller. He was the author of the book, 48 Days to the Work and Life You Love. If you have not read that book, you should go read it. I first found out, Jevonnah, I didn't even know Dan until he was Jim Cockrum's keynote speaker in 2015 in Louisville, Kentucky. Mm-hmm. And I was also a speaker because I was in Jim's team and all that. So right. I got to speak. So I got to come to an event the night before with all the speakers. Mm-hmm. And so I was at the back of the room with Dan, and I didn't know who he was at all. And then he asked me, can you come up to my room and help me bring some of the books down? So I gladly did that. This is Count.
I see him. I want to say hi, Helen.
I gladly did that. And Dan and I got to chat on the elevator. He gave me a book, one of his books, and I devoured it on the plane ride home. Mm-hmm. And so, guys, after that, I went to a program, I think it was January of 2016, maybe. And I went to an event at Franklin, Tennessee. Dan had this amazing property called the Sanctuary right outside of Franklin, and Jevonnah was one of the speakers, along with Kent Julian, of course, Dan himself. And I just was super impressed with Jevonnah, and we've built a friendship since then. And our beloved Dan passed away a little over a year ago. 2 years ago now? Has it been two?
It's been 2 years. Yep.
But we've remained in touch, and I could read all of this. But one thing I wanted to share just about her, and I'll let her talk, is I was reading on her website earlier that how she got started. She also went to Coaching with Excellence, and then right soon after that, it said she launched her first VIP days, which I'm familiar with those, and deep dive intensives with no roadmap and more faith than strategy. I know y'all can identify with that. You're all faith women. And what happened next, it says, still humbles her. Her business grew, high six-figure mark, traveled all along, helping entrepreneurs and coaching executives and entrepreneurs all across the globe. The United States Small Business Administration invited her to coach, and Goldman Sachs selected her as a distinguished scholar. She stood before congressional leaders and spoke on behalf of small business owners who needed someone in the room who understood their reality. So, and that's all awesome. But the reason I specifically thought of her is she writes good emails. So get on her email list. And I'll put her link in the chat here in a little bit. You guys can go to her website and sign up. But she is very, very good at, and this might sound weird, at saying no. at saying no gracefully, but not in a way that she realizes what her priorities are. Like these are the things that God has called me to do in the season, and able to say no to all the rest. And I know y'all are busy. You're busy moms, and so I thought of her because of just everything that you all got going on. I know that she can speak into how to say no to the wrong things, even the things that look like, ooh, this is a good opportunity, but it's not the right thing for you at the right moment. How to say no to those gracefully, but also just how to prioritize the things in your life. So that's why she's here, because I know she can speak into that. And feel free to connect with her afterwards. She's got a program called the Thrive Collective, and there's all kinds of really cool stuff she's doing. But I just know she's just a dear friend and is going to be super helpful to y'all. So, Jevonnah, thank you for doing this. Appreciate it.
Oh my gosh, Ryan, thank you for that introduction. I feel like I need to cash app you or something for that. So no, seriously, thank you for such a generous introduction. I am so excited to be with you guys tonight. Can we just have girl talk? Well, girl slash one guy talk tonight and just keep it real. I don't know if I have the ability, Ryan, to share my screen, but
Yeah, go for it.
okay, I will in just a moment, but I just want to see your faces first before I get into the sharing my screen. Ryan told you a little bit about myself. Been married to my husband for, we'll be celebrating 18 years in August. And here, my mother is a 3-time cancer survivor. We just celebrated her 10-year cancer-free anniversary. She had an 8-hour. I know you said, I think there's a doctor on the line too. She had an 8-hour cancer surgery, and the doctors weren't sure if she was going to make it or not. And you know, when you go through something like that, you really find out who's there for you. And I remember I had friends come and stay with me the whole day at the hospital. So, you know, looking back at that day, today, and we just celebrated the 10-year anniversary. Wow. To see her thriving, to see her happy, to see her, you know, as beautiful and vibrant as she is, even wanting to get married again. You know, that's the mindset that she's in. I am so grateful to God, and I know it's nobody but God. So I am in a state of celebration and gratitude tonight, because I have my mama with me when it could have gone a different way. So my prayer is that that gratitude that I feel would translate through these airwaves or through this Zoom call, because gratitude is really the foundation for our decisions. So my goal for you all is I really want you to walk away from tonight feeling lighter, brighter, empowered, and having your cognitive load reduced. I am a big believer in brain neuroscience. I've been doing a lot of brain neuroscience, all this stuff. It just makes me feel really smart, Ryan. I love studying it. But the brain can only take on so much, you guys. And so that's one of the reasons in the Thrive Collective, I'm a big fan of having bite-sized pieces of content for my students, because we are not designed to carry it all. I want you to write this down. Pick fewer things and do them better. Everyone on here, you're a power woman, right? I'm talking to the ladies today, permanent. You're a power woman, that you know how to get things done, but you cannot do it all and do it well. You can't, you know, when I first became a pastor's wife, my husband was a pastor as well. I realized, and we have 7 different campuses. I realized I could not, if I tried to be all things to all people, I would drive myself crazy. All right. I would literally, and then somebody still wouldn't be happy. Even when you try to do, quote, all the things, somebody may still end up being disappointed. So my goal is for you to have that cognitive load reduced tonight. So I want you to, I prepared a workbook for you guys tonight, and I'm going to share that with Ryan so he can get it to you all, but I'll share it tonight. And then I'm going to also give you a cheat sheet of a script I prepared, and it's something that I have to use quite a bit in telling people no. I made a theme for this year, and that theme is, and you're more than welcome to adopt it if you don't have a theme for the year yet, or maybe you do and you can use it for a quarter or a month if you want to. And that theme is my light year. my light year. This is my light year. This is the year that you have the courage and the grace to say no to the things that don't fit you. This is the year that you have the courage and the wisdom to walk away from those draining, toxic situations, people, relationships, whatever it may be. This is my light year. One of the things that has helped me when my capacity begins to increase, as I ask myself the question, and I have these questions written down here. Hold on one second, guys. But I ask myself the question, what am I building that is going to outlast me? In other words, who can I empower to do this just like I would? Who can I empower to be able to lift the load from my shoulders so that I'm not the one solely responsible for doing it all? How can I make my ceiling someone else's platform? And so basically what I began to do was I began to tap my goddaughters and my children in the gospel and others who I could say, you know what, I know I'm not going to be here forever. I would love to live to 1,000 if that, if going in the direction we are with AI, who knows what may happen with longevity. But, I wanted to be able to create something where other people could be empowered. So when your capacity increases, your boundaries around your own self-care need to increase. And that's the time to say, hey, I need to train someone else in order to empower them to do it as well. So that's a little bit on the topic there, but let me dive into what I have prepared for you all. All right, so this is a time management workbook. It's also a capacity increasing workbook and a boundary setting workbook. Okay, so you get to decide what goes in first. This is a time management workbook for the mom who has more on her heart than hours in her day. Right? We've all know about the jar with the tasks, the big rocks, the pebbles, the sand. And sometimes, we put in the wrong stuff first. We put in the trivial stuff first because it just makes us feel good to check things off of a list. How many of you love to check things off of a list? Please don't tell me I'm the only one. Thank you very much on a Tuesday night, right? I love to check things off of a list, right? But you have to be able to say no to the good so that you can say yes to the right things. So this is what I want you to do on your page tonight. You guys showed up. You are warriors showing up on a Tuesday night. So write down what your number one priority is right now in this season of your life. I'm guessing everybody in here is over 40. Am I right? So you're in a different season of your life in your 40s or 50s or 60s or however old you may be or your 70s, however, than you were in your 20s and 30s. So the reason I didn't say my priorities is because by the very nature of the word, a priority is one. And that's where a lot of us get in trouble. Because when I say, tell me what your priorities are, you write down too many things. Well, I have 25 priorities, Lady J, but this is what I'm working on over here. No, what's the number one priority you got focused on right now? Okay. And you can have that deal with any one of these rocks. You can have a priority for your health, for your business, for your family, for your relationship with God. But for this exercise, I just want you to pick one. Okay. Now that you have that priority picked, and I'm going to move kind of fast because I want to make sure we have time to dialogue. But the second question is, what are you protecting in this season? Many of you are moms. And so as moms, what do? We protect our kids. We protect everybody else. And sometimes we're the last one, God knows, putting our oxygen on mask last to make sure everybody else is protected. But what are you protecting in this season? And then finally, what are you letting go of? You want to know something? I created a no list, and I'm going to challenge you all to do this. I created a no list. I have my little Covey journal here. I keep it in my purse. I take it everywhere with me. When I have a chance to go to the gym, I take this with me and I read my no list out loud to myself. These are all the things that I said I am no longer paying attention to. I'm no longer going to buy that. I'm no longer going to eat that. Am I 100% at this all the time? Oh, heavens no. Right? But I'm trying to do better. And here's the thing. If you are If you practice repetition and sing it on a consistent basis, you'll be able to get better at it. So I even have things on here like no to this new subscription, no to buying anything else from that vendor. Or, and I have on here too, I cannot grow everything in a garden at the same time and expect it to be fruitful. Some things have to go. You can't grow everything in a garden. I know you love all of the stuff in there, but it's going to start choking. I want to do this. I want to do that. Oh, I want to do that too. Okay, but just not right now. I even took my no list and I created a song. You know, with AI now, you can create music. So there's an app called Suno. And so I took the lyrics, I put it in Claude, my Claude AI app, and I'll show you all how to do this if you like. But create a no list, turn it into a song, and then listen to that song on your playlist when you're on your walk. When you are, just need encouragement that, you know what? I'm going to focus on my priority. I'm going to focus on the big rocks this season. That's a little tip that'll take you a long way. I think it was Alexander the Great or Diogenes, one of them said, but I have conquered my need to conquer the world. A lot of the stuff that we want to do is because we want. I was going through my LinkedIn the other day and I was looking at all the programs that the Lord has blessed us to create in business. And I was thinking about how each one of those had a life cycle, right? And how impermanence is a part of life. Everything is going to change. So think about, what do you want to focus on right now? All right, let's go to the weekly planner. So you'll get this in your workbook. And I'm sure you have something like this already in your daily calendar. But what I want you to take away from this is that you don't need more hours. You need more intention. You need more intention. This week I'm saying yes to, and then this week I'm saying no to. All right, page 5. Here's a yes/no filter. Before you say yes, ask yourself, does this align with my big rocks? Check. Does this steal from my family? Then we know that we're not going to focus on it unless that's a priority for you. Is this God's yes, or is this people pleasing? Uh-oh. That's a whole nother topic, right? Because some of us are saying yes out of fear of letting other people down. Out of fear, ask me how I know. Been there, done that, got the t-shirt. Right? And so we have to ask, is this God's yes, or is this people pleasing? There's a book by Lisa Turkhurst called The Best Yes. And I'll go over some of the ways that you can say no gracefully and still preserve the relationship, because some of us, even as grown women, still have trouble saying no. Right? I remember one time I had accepted a speaking engagement. Oh, and my gut told me when I was invited, I had to end up traveling, getting on a plane, going to the hotel, all that. My gut told me when I said, you know what? I really don't have time for this. But then there was another voice saying, it would be great to do that and inspire and help build others up. And I ended up taking the engagement. And when the time came to actually deliver on the engagement, about a week before, that question we all ask ourselves, I said, why in the world did I say yes to this? It ended up being a blessing, but still, that could have been a no. That could have been an opportunity to increase capacity for someone else. That's why a big part of setting our boundaries with increasing capacity comes with security within ourselves, and knowing that just because I say no to this opportunity doesn't mean that another one won't come around later. All right, page 6, because I want to get back to seeing your faces. Here's the dream and do. This is the heart list. So things on my heart I haven't made time for yet. When Mama got the cancer, and when she told me one day that she was having to have transportation to get to the hospital, I knew right then and there that that was never going to happen again. And I went all in on my business so that I could raise enough cash to buy her a brand new car. And we did in record time. We raised enough cash. Ryan, I think you were even there. You were there.
Yes.
You were there.
Yes, it was awesome. And there in San Diego at Social Media Marketing World.
That's right. Oh my gosh. We surprised Mama with a brand new car, you all, and because I didn't want her to have any trouble having transportation for her healthcare needs at all. She lives in California. I live in Alabama, and so that was such a special moment. It was unforgettable, but that was on my heart list, right? And so, what's on your heart list that you haven't made time for yet? What's stopping you? Okay, what's stopping you? And what's one small step you can take this week to move towards it? Okay, page 7. Grace over guilt, progress over perfection. This morning I will focus on midday check-in. Am I honoring my big rocks? So forth and so on. And then last page is you are enough right now. So here's my word of encouragement to the busy mom, to the busy doctor, to the busy entrepreneur, to the one who has too much on your plate. You were not made to do everything. You were made to do the right things. So guard your time like the treasure it is. So what I want you to do as I stop sharing is I want you to take the next minute, just a minute, and I want you to write down your commitment to yourself for the next 3 days. Just 3 days. That's all I'm asking. What's your commitment to yourself for the next 3 days? All right. So here we go. Graceful ways to say no. I'm going to give you a few for your personal life and a few for your professional life. So here we go. Personal. So somebody asks you, hey, Misty, can you come to the office? I know you got your son's game on May 8th, but we really need you. While my heart wants to say yes, the reality of my time makes this a no. Okay. Number 2, I'm honored by your request. Dr. Tolup, I would really love for you to come and speak to our medical doctors. I'm honored by your request, but I'm in a season of refocusing my priorities, and I've committed not to add anything new right now. Oh, Dara, would you please do that thing for your daughter for us? We really need you at that engagement. After living at an unhealthy breakneck pace for too long, I'm learning to realistically reevaluate and assess my capacity. I added reevaluate because that's the word you used, Dara. Though I would love to say yes, the reality of my priorities means I must say no this time. Now, depending on who's asking, you can delete the this time and just say, I must say no. Right? For some people, when they ask me to do stuff, I don't send it. I just type it and then I delete it. And I say, how about never? Will never work for you? I don't do that though. All right. Number 4, I so appreciate you asking me, but I must be brave and decline this opportunity. Saying no is hard for me, but necessary in this season. Thank you for understanding. Number 5, I promise my family not to add any new commitments to my schedule right now. Thank you for our friendship that allows me to be honest with my realities. And I like to use this one for the church member who says, who really wants to be buddy, girlfriend, that kind of thing, and says, hey, can we go out to coffee? I would love to treat you to coffee. And here's a fun one that I use with them. I say, girl, look, if I don't have time to take my mama to coffee, I sure don't have time to take you. And she's a priority. And so that just kind of lightens up the situation and keeps things moving. Okay, so that's for personal. Professional. Thank you for thinking of me. Your project sounds wonderful. However, as much as I would love to be involved, I can't give your project the time it deserves right now. Here is a list of recommended resources. Okay. And then this one for those of you business owners, someone says, hey, I would love to pick your brain or connect with you about a new project. You can say, I'd love to connect with you about your project, but I discovered that that's an activity I must give up while I'm taking care of my daughter, or while I'm writing my book, or while I'm starting my business, or while I'm taking my son to this amazing meet on May 8th. Saying yes would just enable my unhealthy habit of whatever, procrastination, delay. But thank you for your understanding. All right. Number 8, there is nothing more that I love than helping others in my field get started. Unfortunately, I get so many requests for this that I'm no longer able to meet in person. So I've created the attached document with my best advice. If you're a CEO on here, doctor on here, and you're somebody who they're asking you the same questions all the time, Create a GPT or an AI agent if you're comfortable, and feed in all your best advice to that, and then send them that. Or if you don't want to do that, just create a PDF and have it as a favorite in your phone. That way you can just upload it and send it to them. Last two, while I don't have time for a lunch appointment, I love to connect for a few minutes over the phone. I can talk from 8 to 8:20. And it's very important that you say I can talk from whatever the time parameter is. Otherwise, some people will take up all of your time and won't pay you a dime for it. That's a whole nother course that I teach. So thank you so much for caring enough about me to want my involvement. Unfortunately, I'm not able to participate, but I can recommend Misty to come in my stead. But I'm certainly cheering for your continued success. And then there's some bonuses on there. I won't read the bonuses, but I will read this because I think somebody may be able to use it. I think your idea holds a lot of potential, but my business has been growing rapidly and requires my full potential. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm grateful and flattered that you thought of me. I'm going to say no. This is for those of you that have a people-pleasing complex. And this is for those of you that really have a hard time saying no. Try this one on. Thank you, but I'm going to say no. I want you to know, first and foremost, that me saying no is not a reflection of you, your idea, or this invitation. Me saying no is actually me living out my current priority, that should be priority, and honoring my current focus. I will be cheering you on, and I'm confident that our paths will cross again soon. Got to pick that up later. I just finished a book called The Courage to Pivot. And this book is how midlife leaders reclaim meaning, freedom, and a life that's theirs. It's not it's not online yet. It's just a passion project that I did. And it's so amazing because I'm having more people say what an impact this book has made on their lives. But here's the truth. There comes a point in your life where you stop chasing likes. You stop chasing the attention. You stop chasing the applause, and you become an audience of one. Like, God, I just want your applause, right? Because people will let us down. People will change. Things happen. So having the courage to pivot is huge.